And good evening, everyone. I think we have everyone on. Everybody's here. So with that, the Washington County Quorum Court is now called into session. I'd like to welcome everyone to our County Quorum Court meeting for May. With that, we're going to go ahead and kick off. Derek Thomas, JP Thomas, will you lead us in prayer and pledge?
There it goes. All right. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this opportunity that we have to serve the people of Washington County. And we pray that as we enter into this Quorum Court session tonight, that we would go in with open minds, and that we would do the best that we could to help serve those that are counting on us, Father. We just pray that we would work together and be a unified group, and we pray that we would do all these things that would benefit the community. Most of all, Father, we want to thank you for your Son, and it's in his name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. JP Thomas, thank you very much. Ms. Patty, can you start and go ahead and put the agenda up so everyone can see that? Tonight, Ms. Patty will call the roll to record all the members who are present today. And with that, Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and do the roll?
Lance Johnson. Can we unmute them? Lance Johnson.
I'm here, but
Susan Cunningham.
Here.
Derek Thomas. Yanez.
Here.
Patrick Deacon.
Here.
Lisa Ecke.
Here.
Sam Duncan.
Here.
Chandra Washington.
Here.
Eva Madison.
Here.
Andrea Jenkins.
Present.
Suki Hires.
Here.
Sue Madison. Willie Lemming.
Present.
Ann Harbison. Butch Pond.
here.
Judge, we have a quorum.
Excellent, appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Patty. JP Sue Madison has her hand. JP Madison. JP Sue Madison. All right, so item 3 is the adoption of the agenda.
Andrea has her hand up. Andrea Jenkins has her hand up.
JP Jenkins.
Where's that?
JP Jenkins.
At the bottom.
Where? Hand.
Participants.
I noticed that on the new business, underneath new business, the first.
When we get to the adoption of the agenda, you will go ahead and go through whatever that is that you have.
I thought you had just started that.
The adoption, oh, so on the adoption of the agenda, well, I want to make sure I got people whose hands were up. So is yours about the agenda? Hold, give me 1 second. JP Sue Madison, did you have something about the agenda as well? Okay, JP Jenkins, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Judge. I just wanted to say that underneath the section new business, it's missing 16.2 on the agenda, Ordinance 2019-86.
16.2.
Yeah, 16.2. It's about the budget.
I see it on mine. Is it? I don't understand.
One more time, 16.2, you don't see the
I don't see it on my
2019-86?
agenda.
I see it in my packet. I see it in my packet.
Does anyone else see it? I don't have it on my packet.
Are you going, Ms. Patty, are you pulling that up?
Well, I did not attach it,
Oh, on yours?
but it was supposed to be in the packet. It was just the copy of the ordinance.
Sure.
It's in here. It's just not on the agenda.
I don't understand what she's saying.
It's just an attachment.
Yeah, it was in the packet. And so you're saying you pulling up your packet, you don't have it, JP Jenkins?
No, I have it in my packet. It's just not written. I don't see it on the agenda.
It's number 6.
The very last item in old business.
Business ordinance to allow remaining personnel balances. That's about employee payroll on mine. Not annual budget.
Yeah, that's what this one is about, the employee payroll. And
Okay.
27 pay period.
It's supporting document for number 16. Maybe
That's-
she doesn't understand that. It's not a new ordinance.
It's not new, it's just the document supporting
16.
number 16.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry about
Right.
that.
So the adoption agenda, any changes to the agenda?
Ann Harbison.
JP Harbison? Unmute? JP Harbison?
Okay, now you can talk.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we remove 16, which is the extra pay period for this year, and push that into the 21 budget. They still will get their money, but the uncertainty of funds, we need to be cautious about what we're doing. So I'm going to ask that we remove this from the agenda and address this during the budget process.
Okay, there's a motion to move item 16 off the agenda. Is there a second?
Do that several.
JP Jenkins? Is that a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Those opposed? All right, that item will be removed off the agenda, item 16. Any other changes to the agenda? With that, all in favor of the amended agenda? Well, we'll go ahead and just take a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Those opposed? All right, we have the approved amended agenda. We'll go ahead and move to item
Sue
4.
Madison has her hand up.
Make a motion.
JP Sue Madison. JP Sue Madison.
Madison, we're not able to hear you for some reason. We can tell that you're talking and you're unmuted, but for some reason we can't hear you.
Let me try again.
There you
Oh,
go.
there we go. We can hear you.
I move that we read the ordinances by title only.
Okay, let me just get that out there. We had preliminary motions. Are there any preliminary motions? JP Sue Madison, you're asking that we move to read by title only?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion to read all ordinances, resolutions by title only. Is there a second?
Second.
And that was, who was that?
JP Hire.
JP Hires, with a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That preliminary motions will be read by title only. Okay, at this point, we're going to go into citizens' comments. We'll have 15 minutes allotted for citizen comments. Each citizen will be a limit of 3 minutes to share and talk to us about their concerns or their acknowledgement, things that they want to share. And with that, when you come, please state your name and where you're from. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand on if you're on Zoom, and we'll go ahead and identify you and call you. If you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. *9. With that, are there any citizens that wish to make a comment?
Give me just a sec, Judge.
Mhm.
Judge, the first participant we have is Michelle Skojan. I'll unmute.
And Ms. Michelle, please come. You have 3 minutes. Please restate your name and where you're from.
My name is Michelle Skogan. I'm from Cane Hill, Arkansas.
Good evening. Go ahead.
I'm calling in to oppose the CUP for the Morrow Wireless Communications Center. And the reasons that we're opposing it is due to the tower being placed in the middle of a place that's going to obstruct the views of our mountain views that we have. So it's going to diminish our enjoyment of our property, as well as property values, because it's right on the visible from the road. One of the JPs that I spoke with suggested that I try and find another homeowner that would be willing to put it on their property that was not in the views, so it wouldn't diminish our enjoyment of our property, because I understand that this is necessary and is needed out here. And we did find another homeowner that would be willing to have the tower on their property, and none of us would oppose that position. And it's just down the road. It just doesn't impede the views that we bought and moved out here to enjoy and view. So that's
your comment. Thank you very much. Citizen comments.
Judge, next we have Mac Mayfield.
Mr. Mac Mayfield, you have 3 minutes. Please restate your name and where you're from.
I think we've got a problem. Mr. Mayfield's Zoom is an older version, so it's not going to allow him to. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. Okay, there we go, Mr. Mayfield.
Hear me now?
Mr. Mayfield? Mr. Mayfield?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you,
good evening.
Judge.
Restate your name and where you're from.
My name is Mac Mayfield. I live in Fayetteville, 72704 out in the county, and I'm in a thunderstorm, but I will speak loudly. I wanted to comment tonight about the suspension of the committee meetings for the Quorum Court's committees, especially the Jail and Law Enforcement Committee, as well as the Finance and Budget. There's lots of important items on those dockets. Very interested in what the Jail and Law Enforcement Committee has been doing with the Ombudsman, and anxious to hear about the judicial study that is underway and the progress being made. And I'm sure there's an awful lot of thinking going on about the budget with the decline in economic activity and the reduction in sales tax revenue to the county. So I want to urge the court to get back to regular order on those committee meetings. We're in a time of great uncertainty. There is likely we will have to make continued sacrifices, and establishing trust and public cooperation is really important. Timely and accurate information, and I think those committees fill that bill very well as a source of that. I think that's going to be very important going forward. And that is my comment, and I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. Citizen comments.
Judge, next we have David Grosvold.
Mr. David Grosvold, please restate your name and where you're from.
Judge, we'll move on. For some reason, Mr. Grosvold is still muted and can't get him unmuted. Next up, we have Rami Hutchins.
Mr. Randy Hutchins, you have citizen comments, 3 minutes. Please restate your name and where you're from.
This is Mike Hutchins. Ramey's over here.
Mike Hutchins?
Yes, sir.
And where you from?
Morrow, Arkansas, Cane
Morrow,
Hill
Arkansas.
National Physical.
Go ahead with your comments.
I'm opposing the wireless project in Morrow for the location, for actually the views, and it's probably the most densely populated area, and where there's so many options up here for that tower, and it's impeding our views and basically why we moved here and built our house on this property. And we would, if it's for the AWIN project, we support that 100%. My son-in-law is a police officer, my daughter's a dispatcher, our son's trained to be a firefighter. And, we would be tickled to death if it was across the road where it's not going to hurt anybody's views and there would be nobody protesting it. But just the location they're wanting to place it is, it's probably the prettiest view in this area. And they're wanting to put that right in the middle of it. So that's why we're protesting that Morrow Wireless project. We are not against it. We would just like to see alternative options and alternative locations for it to be placed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchins. Citizen comments.
I think we now have Mr. David Grosvold.
Mr. David, restate your name and where you're from.
Yes, sir. My name is David Grosvold. I'm from Cane Hill. I live on Hale Mountain, along with Michelle Scogan and Mike and Rami Hutchins. I want to reiterate what both of them said. As a former Sebastian County Sheriff's Deputy, I also am fully aware of and agree with the need for better communications for our law enforcement and first responder community. However, the location chosen for the Morrow wireless project is probably the least optimal based on the impact that it will have on views for all of us who live out here. And since we have found an alternate site that would work as well, I speak also from an engineering standpoint, having been a radio frequency engineer for probably 30 years. I can tell you that the alternate site would not impact the coverage of the tower at all. It's just that the location that has been chosen is probably the worst place to put it on this mountain. Just from a standpoint of the enjoyment of our property, the location is such that if you drive up the hill on County Road 3, the first thing you see coming up the hill will be that tower. And when you're in your home, when I'm in my home, that will be staring at me through the windows on my front porch. And part of the reason we located ourselves up here 13 years ago was to enjoy the quiet and the views. So that's what I have to say. I appreciate your listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grossville. Citizen comments.
Judge, the last person we have is someone on a phone. The last 3 digits are 068.
All right, need you to go ahead and state your name and where you're from.
This is Charlene.
Go ahead.
This is Charlene Hannah Lewis.
One more time, Charlene.
A little louder, maybe.
Charlene Hannah Lewis.
Okay, go ahead. Where you from?
I am from Morrow. I live on top of Hale Mountain, where they are going to be locating the tower, just right down the road, right directly beside Ramey and Mr. Dave, the Griswolds. approve for the tower to be put up, I think it is truly imperative that we have communication for the law enforcement and everybody else. It's very, very important. It's more important to have that than the view. To know that the safety of people being able to get out there, dispatch, and take care of our community is more important than what the view looks like to me. I know that we have crime out there. I know that people have come and asked me about the crime out there, and I can only imagine what dispatch would have to go through. Is the echo really bad? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So I just came here today to say that I approve for that tower to be put up out in Morrow, please, for the safety and security of everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Charlene.
Thank you.
Citizen comments? Citizen comments. All right, with that, we'll go on to item 6, the approval of the minutes. The March and April minutes were emailed out with the agenda. Are there any corrections?
Hold on, Judge. I think JP Madison has her hand up. See if I can.
JP
Sue Madison.
Sue Madison. JP Sue Madison.
And Eva.
She's muted.
JP Sue Madison.
Again, I've read both sets of minutes. I move their approval.
There's a motion. Oh, JP Eva Madison.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes. All in favor?
Did you call it?
Aye.
JP Madison is trying to speak.
JP Eva Madison.
Yes, thank you, Judge. I'm sorry, I thought you had recognized me. I don't think it'll make a difference, but I remain with my position at the last meeting that we had one meeting, and I looked back at the video, and the March meeting, the supposed March meeting, was not adjourned. It continued constantly, and I think that anything that we did twice that night is in jeopardy, but I guess since my comment didn't come in until after the vote, I don't think it matters. So thank you.
Thank you, JP Madison. We have a motion to approve the minutes by JP Sue Madison, a second by JP Lemming. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes have been approved. All right, Will County Judge's report, your disposal property report should be in your packets. We are in week, I want to say 11, since COVID has hit us, the coronavirus, and with that, the county has seen an uptick in testing. And with the uptick in testing, like the state, there's been an uptick in positive cases. Our county health department opened up for testing here this Monday, again, granting more access for testing. The question becomes, well, why are there more positive cases? Again, the original testing was all around those who were showing symptoms, and those were the ones being tested. A couple of weeks ago, the testing was expanded to include those who may have been exposed or thought they may have been exposed. And so that increased the amount of testing and therefore positive cases. With that, Washington County is running right at about 191 positive cases, over 3,500 negative cases, over 100 recoveries, and we're standing at 5 deaths in Washington County. Again, we're continuing to watch and see this, having more cases and more negative results from those testing will continue as we continue to move forward in this. But again, I think the goal that the state is is trying to get more testing so we can get that baseline and understand what is it necessary as we continue to unroll and open across the state. I want to thank again our countywide elected officials who continue to meet, again, 11 weeks and pulling all the countywide elected officials, all the circuit judges, our emergency management director, John Luther, as well as our county health director. Even though she works for the state, we brought her in and she's really become part of the county to help really work through what we have been doing over the past 10, 11 weeks. Again, kudos to our deputies, our IT team, and Brian Lester. You guys really did a yeoman's job in helping prepare our employees as well as the public for the reopening. But again, we will continue to keep the public safe and keep public health as our top priority. We had state legislators who also were supportive in reaching out to help, and we even had some make masks for the county employees. And speaking of masks, our Homemakers Club with the Extension Office, 4-Hers, I just can't believe they probably made a couple of hundred masks for our employees. Again, trying to share and show their support, as well as trying to make sure their employees who are serving the citizens of the county are safe. And so I'll give everyone you see your 4-Hers or you know some of those folks there, again, give them extend a hand of appreciate them. That's what I wanted to say. You know, mid-March, it hit us like a ton of bricks, and I don't know if anyone saw it hitting us and coming on like that. In April and May, we spent most of our time really walking through, finding personal protective gear, making sure our emergency services were ready. Our coroner office has been unbelievably busy, as well as our medical services around the county, our hospitals and clinics, et cetera. So I anticipate the month of June just really being the beginning of what I would call our new normal. Again, there's got to be a level of comfort and a sense that people feel good about the fact that our new normal is going to change. It's changing the way we serve. And COVID-19 has really changed us socially. It's changed us physically. It's changed, socially, here we are doing meetings through technology. And it's changed us physically and spiritually, graduations, birthday, all that has changed, but people have figured out how can we be creative, how can we be innovative, how can we come together to continue to do the things and celebrate the things and come together to take care of the business of those, whether it be schools or churches or businesses and nonprofits, and that's happening, and I'm encouraged by that. Again, I hope you are too. I want to share something. Yesterday, I had 2 JPs ask me about a grant that we received for a tactical robot. The federal government, the Department of Homeland Security, provides equipment and training around the country for states to help in, should there be a terrorist attack, weapons of mass destruction, some catastrophic event. And with that, we applied, I don't know, probably 2 years ago and somewhere in 18, but all we could do is submit information to the state. The state is the one who manages the grant. The state is the one who applies for that. The state sent that in, and they could only get that grant for SWAT teams, special weapons and tactics. We have a regional SWAT team per se up here, which is Washington County, Fayetteville Police, Springdale Police SWAT team, our emergency response team with the Sheriff Office, our Department of Emergency Management. And so anyway, that grant was applied for by the state, and the state applies for those counties who do have those SWAT teams. And again, that is for special equipment, a tool to help protect our officers and our emergency services responders should there be some catastrophic event. If there's a bomb, as opposed to sending people in, you can use this tactical robot to go in and seek it, find it, to help maybe dispose of it, as opposed to sending people. We spend a lot of time, and you have to go through the training, et cetera. So that's what the tactical robot grant is for us. The Department of Homeland Security is a federal grant that they want to make every state, because what will end up happening is if there was some kind of catastrophic event here, then it will be this area, this region waiting on, say, a county down in South Arkansas or in another state to come to help save someone. I know this week we had someone fall in the Devil's Den. And again, we got to have special tools, special equipment to help our responders, our officers, one, to keep them safe, but two, to help safely get those people who may be in harm's way. So anyway, I just wanted to share that and respond to a couple of JPs who asked for that. If you have anything additional or something that you want to get to citizens, let me know and I'll get some some information sent out to you. The jail study has been, again, somewhat pushed because of the COVID, but they're collating data. They just got some information they've been looking at the jail data and information from all the interviews. They just got some information from the Arkansas Office of the Courts, which compiled a lot of data for them. And so now they're combining and collating the data from the Arkansas Office of the Courts with our jail data. And we should have some preliminary reports for the June Quorum Court meeting. Also this week, I was asked to sit on a regional advisory council for the COVID-19. Interesting enough, it serves about 9 counties. It's a partnership between the Northwest Arkansas Economic Development Council as well as the Arkansas Economic Development Institute. And it is to come up with a recovery and resiliency plan using the federal funds coming from the U.S. Department of Commerce. The U.S. Department of Commerce has been obviously over the past few months, the stimulus packages and all, some of those monies will be coming into the state of Arkansas. And so this advisory council will be working with those 9 counties and developing a recovery and resiliency plan, some training, some projects, et cetera. I was honored to be asked, but in my response, I also asked if I could add one additional person to join the council and help support the council and maybe serve as my proxy in the event that I have other activity going. And they said they would be appreciative of that, and that was going to be JP Deacons, who I asked to be on that because of his background in being a financial CPA, et cetera. And so appreciate him saying he would be receptive to sitting on that council with me. Lastly, want to say, citizens of Washington County, thanks again for your continued prayers and support as we continue to walk through this. Again, the JPs who've reached out, all the county, if you haven't spent any time with your elected officials, each and every one has just been unbelievable through this process, as well as all the circuit judges. I could not be more pleased. And again, a number of Zoom meetings, our county health department, emergency services group, our IT group, our exec team here has just been phenomenal. The state, Arkansas Association of County, again, I was on a number of 2 calls this week with the White House. And again, our legislators from the federal government, Congressman Womack, Senator Bozeman, who was very, very engaged in knowing what's going on and trying to figure out what they could do to help support us. I think I shared that weekly update with you, JPs. Right now in the federal government, the next stimulus package out there is called HEROES. The Senate is taking it up right now. Part of that is to look to see if there's going to be direct dollars to cities and counties, especially those under the 500,000 in population. Again, we don't know if that's going to happen, but knowing that we're going to have some revenue loss, that's what some of those guys have been working on in DC, trying to help mitigate that. Right now, most of those fundings have been about reimbursement for COVID expenses. But again, it's not the COVID expenses alone. It is really about the lost revenue because of taxes that's not going to be received because, again, people are not traveling. There's hard sales tax, retail sales tax, grocery. So all of that and looking to come up with ways to mitigate that. And so I appreciate all the support. Continued prayers is definitely appreciated. And again, thank you, citizens of Washington County, for doing your part and helping us navigate through the pandemic. With that, we'll go ahead into item 8. Counselor, would you go ahead and read that ordinance?
Item 8 is an ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments for the Morrow Wireless Communications Facility. And I'll remind you, this is only on its 2nd reading.
JP Harbison, that is yours. And if there's no action, then we'll just move that on to the June meeting.
Hand up by Andrew.
JP Jenkins.
Wanted to, I went out and visited the neighbors out on the mountain and spoke with them about their concerns.
JP Jenkins.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, this is only on the second reading. All the debate was on the first, and if there's a suspension of the rules and go to a third, then that's where it goes back into debate with the citizens as well as the JPs. But on the second reading, it's just that, a second reading. And if there's no action, then it just moves to a third reading in June.
Okay.
All right.
Harbison has her hand up.
JP Harbison, you gotta unmute. Unmute JP Harbison. There you go.
She's muted back.
You muted again.
She must.
JP Harbison, you can hold down the space bar when you want to talk. And as long as you're holding the space bar down, it'll let you talk.
Her right there.
No.
Go ahead, JP Harbison.
Okay, since it's on second reading, I'm going to suggest we leave it on second reading, and that Smith's Radio or whoever is building the tower, that we ask them if it is possible to move the tower to another suggested location. I realize that radio waves go in straight lines, and the place it is right now may be the only suitable place. But if there's
JP Harbison, okay, I got your asking that it just stay on the second reading, which then automatically moves it to the June meeting. With that, then we'll just move ahead. If any other, I don't see any other hands. We'll move on to item 9. Item 9, Counselor, will you go ahead and read that ordinance?
Yes, item 9 is an ordinance recognizing additional revenue of $500 in the JDC Pond Landscape Grant Fund and appropriating $500 from the grant fund to the JDC budget for 2020. This is also only on its second reading.
All right, JP Harbison, that will be yours as well. It's only again on the second reading. Go ahead, JP Harbison.
Hold the bar down.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the rules and put it on the third reading.
There's a motion to suspend the rules and move to a third reading. A second by JP Ecke. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so it moves on to the third reading. Council, would you read it again?
An ordinance recognizing additional revenues of $500 in the JDC Pond Landscape Grant Fund and appropriating $500 from the grant fund to the JDC budget for 2020.
All right, is there any discussion? Any discussion? Public comments? Any public comments? JP Harbison?
I make a motion that we pass ordinance number 9.
Second.
Got a motion to pass and a second.
Second.
All right, and that was JP Lemming for the second. We go on to public comments. Any public comments?
No public comments, Judge.
All right, Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Sue Madison, you're still muted.
can you unmute?
Yes.
Thank you. Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacons,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passes.
All right, the ordinance passes. Thank you. Item 10, again, this is on its second reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance anticipating additional grant revenue in the general fund for 2020 and appropriating said revenue to various budgets within the drug court grant fund for 2020.
JP Harbison. Unmute.
Am I?
Yes.
Well, am I on?
Yes.
Okay. I move that we suspend the rules and read this ordinance on third reading because it's a non-controversial.
We have a motion to
Second.
move to the third
Second.
and final reading by JP Harbison, a second by, was that JP Lemming?
Yes, sir.
JP Lemming, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Council, will you read that for the third and final time?
An ordinance anticipating additional grant revenue in the general fund for 2020 and appropriating said revenue to various budgets within the drug court grant fund for 2020.
JP Harbison.
I move that we pass number 10.
There's a motion to pass the ordinance, item 10,
Second.
and a second by JP Lemming. Public comments? Public comments? All right, Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
and Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Van Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacon,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passed.
All right, thank you, Ms. Patty. Item 10 passes. Item 11, again, this ordinance is on its second reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance recognizing additional revenue in the amount of $76,382 in the law enforcement grant fund and appropriating the amount of $76,382 from the law enforcement grant fund to the SCAP 2019 budget for 2020.
JP Harbison. Unmute.
Yeah, no, now you're.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the rules and read this for the third time.
Second.
There's a motion to suspend the rules and read for a third time. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by JP Pine. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Was that?
It's super high.
All right, that one passes.
Oh, wait, you better do roll call. 'Cause I see some hands going up.
Do we have, all right, Ms. Patty, go ahead and do a.
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Nope.
Suki Hires,
No.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison, Ann Harbison, JP Harbison.
Yeah.
Thank you. Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
No.
Patrick Deacons,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
We have 10 votes for and 5 against. It passes.
So that passes. We move on to a third and final reading. Council, will you read that for the third time?
An ordinance recognizing additional revenue in the amount of $76,382 in the Law Enforcement Grant Fund and appropriating the amount of $76,382 from the Law Enforcement Grant Fund to the SCAP 2019 budget for 2020.
JP Harbison, unmute. Unmute. Unmute.
Okay, I move that we pass item number 11.
Second.
There's a motion to pass the ordinance item 11, a second by JP Pond. Public comments? Public comments?
Judge, we have Beth Koger.
All right, Ms. Beth Koger, please state your name and where you're from. Mute, unmute.
Oh,
Not you. No, the lady on the phone. You're fine.
hello. I put that.
Ms. Koger,
Yes,
go ahead. State your name and where you're from.
my name is Beth Koger. I live at 3661 Embry Drive, Fayetteville, Arkansas. I would, since I, excuse me, since I cannot ask questions, I would like to ask that someone on the court please ask if the information that the sheriff's office gives to the Department of Justice, which then goes to ICE, if any of that information results in any detainers being issued by ICE as it pertains to the SCAP information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Koger. Public comments? Public comments? All right. Ms. Patty?
Quorum Court, Judge. You got a Quorum Court discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any other discussion from the court? Any discussion from the court?
JP Yanez.
JP Yanez?
Can we get the question answered that Beth Koger asked?
Go ahead and say it.
Can we get the question answered that Beth Koger asked?
All right. I've got the sheriff's office up and let me, if y'all, there you go.
Go ahead. Who's
Jack Kimball, Sheriff's Office.
Who was that? I'm sorry. The Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir. Jack Kimball at the Sheriff's Office.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening, sir. Go ahead.
The information we pass on as does not result in detainers now.
Thank you, Officer Kimball. Any other questions from the court? All right, Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
No.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
No.
Suki Hires,
No.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Unmute.
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
No.
did you say no? Patrick Deacon,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
I have 9 for and 6 against.
That does
So
not
this
pass.
This ordinance
that pass?
passes.
Okay, that does pass. Item
With
11 passes. Item 12, again, this is on its second reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance anticipating additional revenue in the amount of $14,312 in the Law Enforcement Grant Fund and appropriating $14,312 from the Law Enforcement Grant Fund to the JAG grant budget for 2020.
JP Harbison,
I move that we suspend the rules and put this on the third reading.
we have a motion to suspend the rules and go to a third reading. JP Jenkins, is that a second?
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second by JP Jenkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Counselor, move on to it. So that passes. We'll go ahead and have you read that for the third time, Counselor.
An ordinance anticipating additional revenue in the amount of $14,312 in the Law Enforcement Grant Fund and appropriating $14,312 from the Law Enforcement Grant Fund to the JAG grant budget for 2020.
JP Harbison. Unmute. Unmute, JP Harbison.
Good.
I move that we pass item number 12.
There's a motion to approve and pass item 12, the ordinance.
Second.
There's a second by JP Jenkins. Citizen comments or public comments? Public comments? Any other discussion from the court?
All right, Judge, we have one public comment.
Okay.
Sarah Moore.
Ms. Sarah Moore, please restate your name and where you're from.
Hi, Sarah Moore, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for listening to my comment. I just wanted to bring to folks' attention, there's been a little bit of grant conversation this week, and I wasn't incredibly familiar when I started down some of this path, but I've done a lot of educating myself and sitting with folks that are experts at applying for these different grants. One of the things that I would challenge each of us, and I'm sorry, it's a snore, is to actually get into some of the documents of some of these grants that you're looking at. The JAG grant in particular, I think it's like 50 plus pages, but if you actually look in the JAG grant, it doesn't just pay for law enforcement activities. It has a lot of other things in it that pay for reducing recidivism, for things like efficiencies of the court, for expansion of drug court. And so I would just challenge each and every elected official, JP, to really, as you are passing these different grants that are coming through, to really start to maybe read some of the details of some of these grants so that maybe we can have some broader conversation about if there's some opportunities potentially in the future as we apply for future grants. And I appreciate what's being done on those today, but in the changing environment that we have facing us with COVID, with the budget crunch that we're going to face, we don't have extra tax dollars available for funding some of these. There's going to be potentially some creative solutions that can come out of looking at these grant programs. And so maybe this is something, we can explore talking as a community, about how we want to use justice awards, federal and state monies to, keep our community safe and to, build up the economy and to house individuals and keep our community strong. So I appreciate you listening to my comment. And also I would encourage too, if there's anyone that I've got a lot of these documents, the Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition's done a lot of work and has these documents. So if you want to save time and you'd like us to forward those to you, please reach out to myself or Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition, and we'd be very happy to provide those to you, and as well as follow up on any questions, or if you'd like us to dig into additional things, we're very happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Any other public comments? Public comments. Any other court discussion? Any other court discussion? Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison, Eva Madison,
Mute.
Just so you know, it's not letting me unmute at all. So yeah, yes.
Okay.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
I'm not able to unmute myself until I get a message asking me to unmute. This is not working. I vote yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Unmute.
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Eric Thomas,
Yes.
Eric, did you say yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacon,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passes.
Okay, item 12 passes. We'll go ahead to item 13. This again is on its second reading. Council, will you go ahead and read that by title only?
An ordinance recognizing revenue in the amount of $339,307 in the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas Grant Fund and appropriating $339,307 from the HIDA Grant Fund to the HIDA 2020 G20 GC 004A budget for 2020.
JP Harbison.
Okay, I make a motion that we suspend the rules and move it on to the third reading.
There's a motion to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading.
Second.
And a second by JP Lemming. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that passes. Council, will you go ahead and read that for the third and final time?
An ordinance recognizing revenue in the amount of $339,307 in the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas HIDA Grant Fund and appropriating $339,307 from the HIDA Grant Fund to the HIDA 2020 budget for 2020.
JP Harbison. Unmute.
I move that we pass item 13.
Second.
Got a motion by JP Harbison to pass the ordinance, item 13, a second by JP Jenkins.
It was
Becky.
JP Ecke. Public comments. Public comments. Any other discussion from the court?
Yes. I would
JP Pond.
like to
say that we should recognize the work that the grants department is doing on these. And also I'd like to point out that this grant alone brings in a little more money than we get for 1 mil of property tax annually, or 1/10 of a mil, excuse me. This is a little more than what 1/10 of a mil brings in. It's kind of frustrating to me that we would consider refusing any grant monies that come through with the situation we're in, fighting COVID and our revenues being down. But I really appreciate that our grants people are bringing these things into us. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Pine. Any other court comments? Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Can we go on mute until you, Paul?
There we go.
Eva
Get
Madison.
some feedback. I'm sorry, Miss Patty.
It's not working with the mute for me. I feel like I've been moved to the doghouse. Yeah.
What was your vote?
Miss Patty, are you there?
Yes. Eva Madison, did you vote yes? Thank you. Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Vicky Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Lee Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Unmute, Ms. Ann. JP Harbison, unmute.
Okay.
Yes. Did you hear me?
Pond, yes. Ms. Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacon,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passes.
All right, that's item 13 that passes. Item 14 is again on the second reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
Yes, Judge. And before I do, I'm going to attempt to unmute everybody again. Doesn't mean that it'll work. If you want to stay unmuted, that's fine. But somewhere there's a lot of background noise going on with some dogs, and so it's causing a lot of problems. So I will attempt to unmute all of you before I start reading, and hopefully that'll give you the opportunity to speak when the time comes. Item 14, ordinance, an ordinance justifying carryover revenues in various funds for 2020.
JP Harbison, unmute yourself, JP Harbison.
Right there. Just came up. Go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion that we suspend the rules and read this for the third time.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules and read a third and final time, a second by JP
Hecky.
Hecky. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Council, will you read that for the third and final time?
Eva, I've tried to unmute you. I have no control over what's going on with you. I don't know why it's muting you back after you become unmuted.
Well, there's a problem when everyone is unmuted because I can see it. I am not unmuted.
We hear you.
No, I am unmuted now because the host allowed me to be unmuted. But
Right.
I seriously think I've been put in some unique category because I cannot talk even when I'm invited to talk.
You've not been put in, you're in no different situation than anyone else.
Well, I raised my hand before that ordinance was even read, and then my hand went down without me doing anything, and I had to raise my hand again. So I think we're going to have to do a little bit better about allowing those who've been recognized to speak, because it keeps happening to me.
If you have a suggestion of some better software to use,
I'm
love to
addressing
listen
my
to it.
comments to the chair, so I'd
Okay.
appreciate it if the judge would respond.
Thank you, JP Madison. Thank you, Counselor.
Andrew Jenkins has a hand up.
JP Jenkins.
Thank you. I just wanted to state, because I use Zoom so often with my students, I noticed that it's Eva, JP Eva Madison, JP Sue Madison, and then also Ann Harbison. They're not coming off of, when you unmute everybody, they're staying muted. So I don't know if it's a glitch or what, but I just wanted to let you know, that's what I've observed.
Okay.
Glitch.
Yeah. Any JP Sue Madison?
Can we vote?
Mr. Judge, am I recognized?
JP Sue Madison, yes.
Thank you. I'm having the same problem. I can push the unmute me over and over again until the host says it wants you to unmute. Only then do I become unmuted. It's as if I have no control over this issue.
So I'll visit with
there-
IT so we can get prepared to see if there's anything software to maybe fix any of that if it is a IT on our end. Any other court comments? Any public comments? Any public comments?
Judge, I believe
Right,
you were on this. I think that was just the second reading.
Oh, that was okay. Go ahead and read that for the third and final.
No, because I seconded it.
I move.
All right, so let's go back to JP Harbison motion to move it to a third and final reading. JP
Second.
Hecky did the second. All in favor?
I made the motion.
All opposed? All right. Any court comments?
No.
Any public comments? That passes for the third and final reading. Council, will you read that for the third and final time?
An ordinance adjusting carryover revenues and various funds for 2020.
JP Harbison,
I make a motion that we pass item number 14.
Second.
all right, got a motion to pass, a second by JP Hecky. Any public comments? Any public comments? Any other court comments? Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and do the roll?
Sandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Vicky Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Dickens,
Yes.
Lisa Eckey,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This Ordinance passed. Is it up?
Thank you, Ms. Petty. That's item 14. That ordinance passes. Item 15, again, is on its second reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance reducing the amount of $714,384 from line items in various county budgets and restoring those funds to unappropriated reserves, and appropriating the total amount of $945,449 from unappropriated reserves to various budget line items for 2019.
I make a motion.
JP Harbison.
I make a motion that we suspend the rules and read this ordinance the third time.
We have a motion to suspend the rules and read for a third time. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by
Ecke.
JP Ecke?
Ecke.
By JP Ecke. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we'll go ahead and move that. It passes. Move to the third and final reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance reducing the amount of $714,384 from line items in various county budgets and restoring those funds to unappropriated reserves, and appropriating the total amount of $945,449 from unappropriated reserves to various budget line items for 2019.
I move that we pass item 15.
The motion to pass item 15, the ordinance,
Second.
and a second by JP Ecke. Public comments? Any public comments? Any court comments?
I have a question.
JP,
Lemon.
who was that?
Lemming.
JP Lemming?
Yep. Why is the insurance people, the insurance guy says our insurance is running good. The adding of the 200,000, is that money that we always put in our insurance, or is that something that we have to add to it? Because that's really what's driving that price from 714 to 945 is putting that much money in the insurance. Is that correct, or am I reading that wrong?
Oh, that's correct.
Because on the back page of that, it's
about the
employee
employee
insurance fund, 226,000. Do we put that much money into that every year? Or is this something new?
Yes, we normally put that, well, again, we look at what we've been putting in, we get a recommendation and share with you guys, and that's what we've said, and hoping that that's where it come in. You won't know really until we see what the usage has been on the insurance for the following year.
That's normal, though. You want to.
Yeah.
Any other court comments? Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and do the roll?
I'm sorry, Judge Wood. This is JP Washington. I have a question. So in light of the expected shortfall regarding sales tax and other revenue, will that have any impact on this as well?
I imagine. And that's again what the treasurer is constantly working through. We won't know though until, again, I think I shared with you guys, we won't start getting some real numbers until the end of June, which will be what happened to us in April. And then with the end of July will tell us what happened to us in May. And then we have a better sense of what kind of impact it's going to have on our budgets across the board based on what sales tax we did not receive and or maybe we fared better. But again, it's all a speculation trying to figure it out.
So would we be
I imagine it could have an impact on even that.
okay, so would we be acting prematurely to pass this ordinance and then have to go back and do something different?
No, I think because again, here's a piece, and I think that's where the electors have been. We have to go ahead and start preparing and doing the work toward what the loss will be based on what we are guesstimating, as opposed to waiting till the 1st of August after we got those months in, because if it comes back and hits us harder, then it's how do you come up, let's say it's a $7 million loss and we have not done anything. Now trying to figure out where to go. And so doing the work now to kind of prepare for that, then we'll make the adjustment when we get to that point if we need to.
Okay, thank you.
And that's, again, this is all rolling from last year.
This is to close the books on last year. This is what we have to do to
Last
clear
year.
out all of our funds in order to close the books from 2019.
That makes sense to you, JP
Yes.
Washington?
Thank you.
Any other court comments?
JP Yanez.
JP
Hey.
Yanez?
Judge, do we have any projection of how the budget's going to be impacted?
No. We just looking at our treasurer and just using best guess. The elected again looked at a best case scenario somewhere to 2.5 to maybe 3 million. Mid case scenario is about 4.5 million, and worst case would be about 7 to 8 million. The electors are just choosing to operate on the mid case scenario. So if we get to the end of July or August, and we find out that it was only a minimal impact of maybe 2 or 3 million in loss, we are to the good. If it comes out to be worse than what we projected, then we're at least a lot further down the road.
Great, thank you.
Any other court comments? Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passes.
All right, item 15 passes. Item 16 was removed. Item 17, new business. Again, this is on its first reading. Again, no action, then it just moves on to the next month. With that, council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for the local Ghost Distillery.
JP Harbison.
I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the rules and put it on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion to move to suspend the rules and move to a second reading. A second by
Jenkins.
JP Jenkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Ms. Patty, will you do a roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
The motion was approved.
All right, that motion passes, moves on to a second reading. Council, go ahead.
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for local Ghost Distillery.
JP Harbison.
Okay, I move that we suspend the rules and put it on the third and final reading.
There's a motion to suspend the rules and move to a third and final reading. Is there a second?
Second.
And that was
Ecke.
JP Ecke. We got a motion and a second by JP Ecke to move to the third and final reading. All in favor? Those opposed?
No.
Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
Motion was approved.
All right. That passes. Okay, Council, will you go ahead and read for the third and final reading?
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for Local Ghost Distillery.
I move
Mr.
that
Harbison?
I move that we pass item number 17.
A second.
And a second by JP Lemming.
Yep.
The ordinance, item number 17. With that, any public comments? Any public comments?
Public comment from Beth Koger.
All right.
Hello, can you hear me? Beth Koger.
Go ahead, state your name and where you live.
Beth Koger, 3661 Embry Drive, Fayetteville. If I'm not mistaken, when this was before the Planning Commission, there were questions about the septic tank, about a septic tank being placed in a floodplain. I was just wondering if that question has been resolved.
Has to be. Has to be, otherwise I wouldn't have approved it.
Who speaks there?
Is that your comment then?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Koger. Any other public comments?
We've got Nathan. Nope, he took his hand down.
Public comments? All right, back to the court. Court comments?
We have two.
JP.
Yes, Sue Madison.
JP Sue Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. I was okay with moving it to a second reading, but we haven't heard from the applicant. A distillery is something we don't have a lot of in Washington County. And I'm concerned that we not be quite so rapid about this. There are some people in the county that have strong feelings about alcohol. I'm personally, I don't have any problem with that, but this seems to me to be a pretty big step to have a distillery in Washington County. And this meeting is not truly conducive to allowing a lot of public comment, as we've witnessed here tonight. I don't think we've heard from the applicant, certainly not from any of the neighbors that are affected. So that's why I was willing to move it to one reading, but not to the last reading. I would prefer that we wait until next month when we may actually have a meeting. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Madison. JP Eva Madison.
Thank you, Judge. I was just going to ask that Ms. Koger's question be addressed by Mr. Griffin resolved.
It has been.
This Crouch on.
Yep.
You one of the participants.
Nathan, you can speak now.
Hey, thank you. As the floodplain administrator for the county, I just wanted to, that yes, indeed, you can put septic systems inside the floodplain and in the floodway, and it would be up to the Arkansas State Health Department to approve that. With regard to the applicants and neighbors, we send our neighbor notifications out as per ordinance, and then at the planning board meeting, we did have some people call in and make their comments and ask those questions. We answered them just like we are here.
Thank you, Nathan. Director Crouch. JP Harbison.
I'm very familiar with this piece of property, and I have no reservations about going on and approving this. I think it's going to add another business in the area around Fork, and I approve this, and I have had no negative comments. No one's called me about this. Thank you.
Any other court comments?
Yes.
Rich.
JP Pond.
And then Sue Madison.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to make a comment. We do have some other distilleries in the county. And just off the top of my head, I'm thinking of two, and I'm not going to name names. There's probably more than just a couple, and we don't have any prohibition thing going here. we've got a COVID lockdown, but we don't have a prohibition. It's not against the law to still, they're going to go broke if they're counting on me for a customer, but we can't by ordinance or by county action, as far as I can tell, create any monopolies and protect the ones that are already in by refusing others to come in. And I'm satisfied that the health department's not gonna approve some kind of a septic system that is not adequate. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Pine. JP Sue Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. Let me be clear. I don't have a problem with a distillery. However, this is a conditional use permit. This is not a use by right for this location. And where we often anticipate reaction from neighbors and comments and phone calls, let me remind everybody that we are in difficult territory right now. We've never been through a pandemic lockdown. And I myself have not ventured out of the house very much during this time, let alone, contacting local officials about things that wouldn't be outside my normal purview as a citizen. So we may not be experiencing the normal kind of reactions from the citizens of Washington County right now because they have other priorities, worrying about how they're going to get food, worrying about losing a job. I think we owe it to our residents to be a little slower with some of these things that may have an impact on a neighborhood that we're not capable of judging right now. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Pine.
I have a comment.
Sue Madison, JP Eva Madison, and then JP Jenkins.
Becky?
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to ask, Mr. Crouch's comments made me more curious then as to, and this just may be my lack of knowledge, but has the health department approved that? And then with respect to the septic tank, and then my understanding was also that at the Planning Commission, there was question about a railroad crossing that was potentially dangerous. I just think there's some unresolved questions here, and I just think that this is not the best forum to rush something through when it's not really that easy for citizens to participate right now. This is a rural part of the county, and I think we need to be more mindful of rushing things through while it's hard for people to attend. But I would like to know about the railroad crossing and if this health department has approved the septic tank or if that's just something that comes later. Thanks.
Director Crouch, are you up?
Sir, here I am. I just wanted to point out that indeed, this is a conditional use permit where we're reviewing for land use. And then following, if this CUP is approved, it will be followed by preliminary large scale development review, which is where we will review all of the technical aspects of the project, including septic systems, railroad crossings, and the like. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Crouch. JP Jenkins and then JP Ecke.
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to explain my support of the CUP. According to the planning paperwork, it says that all neighbors within 300 feet of the boundary were notified via certified mail. I feel like that would have given them plenty of time if they had any issues. And then it said no comments were received from mail from the public. And even the mayor of West Fork and the chairperson of the West Fork Planning Commission voiced their support. So I feel like it was approved unanimously by 7 members of the planning board. So I just wanted to explain my support of the CUP.
Thank you, JP Jenkins. JP Ecke.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. This is potential revenue that will be coming into Washington County, and we need additional revenue. This is the only way we can get some money coming in, and they want to start a business, I think now is a great time to do it. So I'm supporting this and looking forward to the revenue that it brings in. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, JP Ecke. Any other court comments? Any other court comments?
Call the question.
Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Abstain.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yonez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan, Sam Duncan, Dawn,
Counselor, unmute him. Is he unmuted?
Missing.
shows unmute.
What?
That looks like it's frozen.
Keep going, Ms. Patty.
Then this ordinance passes.
Okay. Item 17 passes. All right, item 18 is on its first reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for the James Royal Storage.
JP Lemming,
I'd like to suspend the rules and put it on second reading.
Second,
and a
Ecke.
motion to suspend the rules and read, go to a second reading, a second by JP Ecke. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson, Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yonez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan, Sam Duncan. The motion was approved to suspend the rules.
All right, that motion was approved. Go ahead and read for the second reading, Counselor.
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for James Royal Storage.
JP Lemming,
Like to move to pass.
Second.
you gotta go to the third and final reading.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to do that.
So we got a motion, is that to suspend the rules and move to a third and final reading?
Yes, sorry.
We got a
Second.
motion to move, suspend the rules and move to a third and final reading, a second by
Jenkins.
JP Jenkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
JP, Ms. Patty, will you go ahead and roll, call through the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yonez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan,
He's talking, but we can't hear him.
Can we go ahead and get him to, okay.
He said yes. He said yes.
Oh, he
on
typed
chat.
it in? Okay.
the motion passes.
All right, that item passes. Move on to, that was the third and final. Counselor, will you read that for the third and final time?
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board, James Royal Storage.
And JP Lemming.
I'd like to move to pass.
Second.
Second.
A motion to pass by JP Lemming, a second by JP Harbison. Any citizen comments, any public comments? Any public comments? Any court comments? Any court comments?
Here.
Ms. Patty, go ahead and do the, Ms. Patty, go ahead and do the roll.
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Abstain.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming.
I had my hand up in comments. I just wanted to say thank you for all the court members to working on this stuff. We can't stop the world progress just because of COVID-19. And yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan,
Yes.
Chatted.
Chatty.
yes.
Yes, in the chat.
Okay. This ordinance was adopted.
All right, that ordinance passes. Thank you, Ms. Patty. Item 19, again, is on its first reading. Council, will you go ahead and read that by title only? That's a lot, I think a lot split.
Yes, and an ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for Hilltop Estates lots 5A and 5B.
JP Pond.
Yes, sir. To make a comment on this. All this amounts to is one neighbor selling and the other neighbor a real skinny strip of property because he wants to own his own ingress and egress. In other words, he's just buying a piece of property where he's got title to his own road, going in and out of it, his own driveway.
Second.
Move to suspend the rules and put this on this. We got to have it on a second and third reading. All right. Move to suspend the rules and put this on the second reading. Let this man have his own driveway.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to suspend the rules and move to a second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, JP Pond, that passes. So council, go ahead and read for the second time.
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for the Hilltop Estates lots 5A and 5B.
Move to suspend the rules and put this on third and final reading.
A motion to suspend the rules, move to a third and final reading, seconded by JP Lemming. Is that JP Lemming?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, council, will you read that for the third and final time?
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for the Hilltop Estates lots 5A and 5B.
Move to pass 19.1.
Second.
Motion and a second to pass item 19.1. JP Sue Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. I'd like to point out that in reading this, it is pretty clear that this conditional use affects only two adjacent property owners who are in agreement, and I'm fully supportive.
Okay. Any public comments? Any public comments? Any other court comments? Any other court comments? Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Shonda Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Rich Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacons,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
and Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance is adopted.
All right, item 19 passes. Okay, item 20, this is on its first reading. Council, would you read that by title only?
An ordinance changing the title of Business Relations Specialist in the County Assessor Budget to Branch Manager for the County Assessor Budget for 2020.
JP Pond?
Yes, this is just a simple title change of a job in the assessor's office. And I'd like to make a comment with all the public officials, including you, Judge Wood. This lockdown situation has been very, very difficult. It's been a struggle, and all of you have made do. And I just want to thank all of you for what you've done through this. And I would do anything I could to help you, including the assessor. I'd like to put this on the second reading.
Second.
So there's a motion to move to the second reading, a second by JP Jenkins.
Judge, this is an appropriation ordinance. It doesn't require a second reading.
Oh, very good.
Great.
As long as it passes.
Move to pass.
Second.
There's a motion to pass item 20, a second by JP Ecke. Public comments? Public comments? Any court discussion? Court discussion?
I do.
Jenkins.
JP Jenkins?
Sorry to get my hand up. I just wanted to thank Mr. Hill for saving the county some money by doing this. No additional money is going to be spent. It's just going to be saved, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
You're here.
Any other court comments? All right, Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Shonda Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacons,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Patty. Item 20 passes. Item 21, again, on its first reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
Yes, Judge. This is another appropriation ordinance. An ordinance appropriating additional revenues of $73,284.08 from the general fund to various line items in the sheriff's budget for 2020.
Okay, JP Harbison.
Okay, this is money that's been paid to the Sheriff's Department for special events like ball games. So this is a non-controversial appropriation. I move that we pass item 21.
Second.
There's a motion by JP Harbison to pass item 21, a second by JP Lemming.
Yes, sir.
Any public comments? Any public comments? Any court comments? JP Jenkins.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm just curious about the overtime pay listed under the sheriff and the jail operations. I feel, haven't things slowed down with not needing as many deputies on duty with the intakes down in the jail? It just seems like $43,000 for overtime pay. I'm just kind of curious about that. I didn't know who could answer that for me.
This is money, JP Jenkins, that is reimbursed by the county after deputies go and work special events, football games, basketball games, that sort of thing. So this money is money that they're being paid, and so that comes right back in and goes right back into those line items.
Okay, great. I have no opposition. Thank you.
Last year's money.
Any other court comments? Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington. Eva Madison.
Yes.
Andrea Jenkins.
Yes.
Vicky Hires.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
Billy Lemming.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Butch Pond.
Yes.
Lance Johnson.
Yes.
Susan Cunningham.
Yes.
Derek Thomas.
Yes.
Judith Yanez.
Yes.
Patrick Deakins.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
Thank you, Ms. Patty. Was that Duncan talking or? He's back on? Good. That item passes. Item number 22. Again, on its first reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance repealing ordinance 2010-32.
JP Johnson.
Yes, Judge, thank you. In 2002, the county formed the Fire Marshal's Department under the purview of the county judge. In 2010, took the Fire Marshal's duty out from under the judge and gave it, put it under the sheriff. And today, the county judge and the county sheriff have determined that it ought to be moved back under the county judge. I move we approve this ordinance.
Okay. There's a motion to pass ordinance, the repeal ordinance, item number 22.
Second, Ecke.
All right, JP Eva Madison and then JP.
It's Ann, Eva, Sue, in that order.
JP Ann Harbison, then JP Eva Madison, and then
Sue.
JP Sue Madison. JP Ann Harbison.
I was on the court when this happened, and the reasoning was it was an investigative type position, the fire marshal. But if I don't have any problems moving it back under the county judge. I just think that it needs to be where it will be the most efficient. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Harbison. JP.
Say it again, Judge. I don't think you.
Can't hear you.
JP Eva Madison.
Thank you, Judge. We couldn't hear you. I apologize. My understanding was that the primary motivation for moving this from the judge to the sheriff was because there was a belief that the individual needed to be a deputy sheriff and have that authority. So I know the sheriff supports this, but my concern is the need for the individual to be a deputy sheriff. And then I was also a little concerned to know that the individual that's currently in the position in the sheriff's office will remain, and that will create a new position in the judge's office, is my understanding, which I don't think we need to be creating new positions right now. So if that's a byproduct of this move, I'm going to be reluctant to support it. But I would appreciate knowing maybe from someone in the sheriff's office as to why it's no longer necessary for this individual to be a deputy sheriff. And then what we anticipate in terms of the need for a new person to be hired. Thank you.
JP's, okay, thank you, JP Madison. JP Sue Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. You know, we've had a fire marshal for a long time and they do a very important job for the county. I thought the sheriff's office was a good place because of, as I think someone's already mentioned, the investigative nature of the fire marshal. But I'd also like to ask what kind of money is moving from one department to the other. I don't assume we're just going to move a person and not change where their funding comes from. So whose budget is going to need adjusting? And will it be an even subtraction and addition? Or, you know, none of the ordinances that we've considered tonight have gone through committee. And I don't know that I understand how that leap happened, but some of these issues do get resolved in committee. And this one in particular, I would have thought would have been better off having been heard by the Finance Committee. So I'd like to know what happens to the money here. Thank you.
Luke has his hand up and then.
JP, was that Pond?
Yes.
Yes.
JP Pond?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding about this, and I would invite any of the JPs to be maybe a little more active in what goes on in these situations. This fire marshal, it seems this position has become more of an administrative position than it has investigated. And with that being said, the county judge, I believe, is the administrator, and therefore the fire marshal, if he's going to have a administrative position, needs to work under the county judge, who is the administrator that's been elected by the people of Washington County. That way there's accountability. Otherwise, and that's my understanding, and I believe that might be why the sheriff would approve, and so would the county judge. And with the sheriff and the county judge working together on this in a very cooperative way, I believe I'm going to be inclined to honor what the sheriff and the county judge are doing here. It is the people living in the county, the landowners, business people in the county. They need to be given as much consideration as they can. And I believe that's what the sheriff and the county judge are doing here, Mr. Chairman. And I appreciate and I recognize what y'all are doing is something that's answering to the people of Washington County. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Pond. JP Harbison.
The only thing, as long as this is financially neutral, I have no problem with it. That means that if the current fire marshal moves under the county judge, then that's fine. Now, if that fire marshal is, to me, would have to be then hired by the sheriff's department. And I don't think we're in any situation to add new personnel. I have no problem with it. The fire marshal being under the county judge. I just want to make sure that it's financially.
Thank you, JP Harbison. JP Jenkins.
Thank you, Judge. Can we have that question answered? Is this going to affect personnel? Is this going to open a new position, or is it going to be a wash?
It's going to, you have the position and the dollars will go together. So the ordinance pull the position and the dollars that went with that to the sheriff's office, that's going to come to the judge's office. The investigation piece will still be the work of the sheriff's office, the education in particular, and the administrative part is, as alluded to, will continue to happen as is happening now with the fire marshal, working with our planning department, et cetera.
Thank you for explaining that. Thanks.
Any other court, Jake? All right, with that, any public comments?
Oh, this is only a first reading, Judge.
Oh, it's on the first reading. That's right. JP Johnson.
Yeah, Judge, I move we suspend the rules and move this to the second reading.
Second.
There's a motion to suspend the rules and move to a second reading. A second by
JP Ecke.
JP Ecke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Abstain.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Eric Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacon,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, it moves to a second reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance repealing ordinance 2010-32.
JP Johnson.
I move that we pass this.
Need a motion to move to a third and final reading?
Yes, sir.
Have a motion to move to a third and final reading?
Second by Ecke.
Second by JP Ecke. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Who's the two noes? Was that two? JP Sue Madison and JP Eva Madison? Okay, so council, go ahead and read through a third and final reading.
An ordinance repealing ordinance 2010-32.
JP Johnson.
We approve the third, approve this motion under third reading, Judge.
It's on
Second.
pass.
Move to pass. Second.
There's a motion. Is that motion to move and pass, JP Johnson? Want to make sure we have that on the record. JP Johnson, is that a motion to pass the ordinance?
Yes, sir.
And
Second.
a second by JP
Ecke.
Ecke. All right, Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Got to have public
I
comment.
mean, public comments, I'm sorry. Public comments? Public comments. Court comments? All right, court comments. Ms. Patty, the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
No.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
No.
Willie Lemming,
Abstain.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacons,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passes.
Okay, item 22 passes. Item 23 is on its first reading. Council, will you read that by title only?
An ordinance approving the Northwest Arkansas National Airport second restated and amended agreement.
JP Jenkins.
Thank you, Judge. So this is an ordinance that is updating an agreement for the Regional Airport Authority that hasn't been updated since 1994. So late last year, Northwest Arkansas Regional Airport, which is XNA, became upgraded to a national airport. And so the updates for the Board of Directors or the Regional Airport Authority agreement which includes 2 members from each cities of Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, Siloam Springs, Springdale, which is both Washington County and Benton County agreements. They were needed to reflect the change from a regional airport to a national airport. So there were 4 changes made, 4 main changes made, and that's what this ordinance reflects. And if you want to look with me on actual agreement, the first 2 changes happen under Article 1. And in that, it shows the change in the first was the change in the name of the airport from regional airport to national. And the second change you'll see there is the change from the term of chairman to chair. And it was explained to me that's because there's a woman that is the chair, and they just kind of wanted to make that gender neutral and change it from chairman to chair. The third change on this agreement is under Article 6. If you look at Article 6, that is the conflict policy. And basically the language used in the conflict policy came from 1994 as a regional airport. And so needing to change that language to reflect state national language. And then let's see, the last change is on Article 9. If you look at Article 9. And that is basically the same thing. It's taking the language from a regional airport perspective, and they're going to move it into to follow federal and state guidelines for a national airport. So that's basically it.
Okay, thank you, JP Jenkins. With that, no action and move to the next month unless you're suspending the rules and asking to move to a second reading.
Sue has her hand up.
JP Sue Madison. Oh, who's the young guy there? Is that
MIM.
MIM.
Samuel, is that your grandson? Is that Eva?
My grandson, yes.
Excellent. Hello, how are you? Go ahead, JP Sue Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. I guess I'm about to date myself seriously here. I was actually on the Quorum Court in '94 when discussion of a regional airport first came up. And I want everybody to know that for many, many months, we had talks about building a cargo airport. This was going to be a cargo airport for many, many months. We had talks about, I think it was about flying chicken parts to Asia. But in the end, suddenly a better decision came down and we now have a national airport. And I think it is wonderful that things have evolved the way they did from all of those discussions about flying chicken parts. That's all I have.
Thank you, JP Sue Madison. JP Ann Harbison.
I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the rules and read this on the second reading.
Second.
Got a motion to suspend the rules and a second by JP Jenkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Council, will you go, that passes. Council, will you go ahead and read that for a second reading?
An ordinance approving the Northwest Arkansas National Airport second restated and amended agreement.
JP Jenkins.
What do I need to do?
Let's suspend the rules, move to the third and final.
Yeah, suspend the rules and move on to third reading.
Second.
All right, there's a motion to suspend the rules, move to the third and final reading, a second by
Eva Madison.
JP Madison. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. Council, will you read that for the third and final time?
An ordinance approving the Northwest Arkansas National Airport second restated and amended agreement.
All right, JP Jenkins, what's your pleasure?
Motion to call the question.
Motion to pass the ordinance, a
Pass.
second by JP Harbison.
Correct.
All right, Ms. Patty, public comments? Any public comments?
None, Judge.
Any other court comments?
Yes.
JP Pond?
I just wanted to say one more thing before you pass it. But I'm not going to say this is going to date me. I wanted to recognize that one individual I recall that spent many hours, days, weeks, months, several trips to Little Rock that worked on this regional airport was, and some of y'all know him and recognize his name, is Mr. Uvalde Lindsay. He, I kind of wonder if the airport hadn't been named, ought to have been named after him. But anyway, that being said, I'm just going to say thank you to Mr. Lindsay for what he's done for Northwest Arkansas.
Here, here.
Here.
Sure.
And no other comments, Ms. Patty, will you do the roll?
Chandra Washington,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
I think I'm muted. Hold on. Nope. Yes. Sorry.
Andrea Jenkins,
Yes.
Suki Hires,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Willie Lemming,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Susan Cunningham,
Yes.
Derek Thomas,
Yes.
Judith Yanez,
Yes.
Patrick Deacons,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
This ordinance passed.
All right, that ordinance passes. I do think the airport, some of the board members and or administration executives are on, maybe on. But again, it's a great organization and they're going through a lot with this COVID-19, but I'm glad that's done. Thank you, JP Sue Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. I have been struggling here and was kind of curious to ask our county attorney how we came to have these new ordinances on the agenda tonight when our committees often spend quite a bit of time thrashing through these things and we skip that step. And I'm just curious if there's some little mechanism for doing that, or I was surprised.
There weren't any committee meetings. And so if we don't have committee meetings and we can't do ordinances, then the business of the people doesn't happen. And so because of this whole COVID-19 and the social distancing that's been recommended in an effort or attempt to keep all of you safe, and as well as the public, then the only option there is, because there is no committee meeting, is to go to the full quorum court. And then once you adopt an ordinance, you're giving your blessing for the these ordinances to be on the agenda.
Well, I appreciate that we didn't have meetings because I think that was wise, but committees could have had Zoom meetings just as easy. Well, this hasn't been easy, but committees could have met by Zoom. It's not as if we were all out of the country.
That's correct. And that is something that we're looking at for.
So okay. Well, I was surprised.
Appreciate it. Thank you. County committee reports. JP Jenkins.
No.
Yes, I asked Mr. Gonzalez to give us an update on the Johnson controls, and I've got that for you guys. I'm just going to pull it up on my email and read from it to you guys. Okay, so Mr. Gonzalez says that the Johnson Control contract has progressed in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. We issued JCI an order to suspend work inside the county facilities on March 16th due to the county being in the state of emergency. But on May 18th, 2020, JCI was permitted to resume work within county facilities under the conditions that all contractors and subcontractors filled out and passed all of the county's COVID-19 screenings. The status of the contract is as follows. So LED lighting upgrades are complete. Water conservation, I'm not sure what he meant, upgrades are complete. HVAC upgrades are 95% complete. Energy management control systems are 40% complete. They were delayed due to the COVID-19, but the work has resumed. The building envelope ceiling is complete. The solar PV installation is complete. The fire alarm systems is 25% complete, and that's also due to the COVID-19, but work has resumed. And then he also had to say that during the COVID-19 pandemic, installations of the solar systems were able to progress. And this has resulted in Washington County leading the state of Arkansas in the following areas. Washington County has the largest rooftop solar array in the state of Arkansas, and Washington County has the largest completely government-owned solar production facility at 2 megawatts. So that's the update I got from Dwight.
Thank you, JP Jenkins. It's a great, if you guys haven't been out there to see any of that, it's totally phenomenal, amazing, and good job, Director Gonzalez and his team, and the partnership that we had across the state and Johnson Control in particular. Finance and Budget, JP Johnson.
Okay.
I mean, Finance and Budget, JP Harbison. I'm sorry.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. The insurance report, Bobby Hill's treasury report, and our controller, Sean Worthing's controller's report were sent to each JP by email. And I have talked with Judge Wood about having a finance and budget meeting by Zoom. We'll work on that. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Harbison. JP Johnson, Jails and Law Enforcement.
Yes, thank you, Judge. All of the typical reports were included in the package. I don't have anything other than that to report. Thank you.
Thank you, JP Johnson. And Personnel.
Yes, can you hear me? I just asked that question. I see a lot of bobbleheads out there, but on my screen. We did not meet, but I want to thank you for all that you, Judge, and your staff are doing behind the scenes in the background to make it to where it's not necessary for us to have a risky meeting. It's good that we're not having these committee meetings, and I want to thank the IT department for
Here.
we still have glitches. I understand that, but they've been working on this, and I just would beg the Quorum Court and the public to bear with them while they get this smoothed out more as we go, where it might be possible for us to have occasionally a committee meeting. But whatever we do, we need to continue distancing as much as we possibly can till we're able to get on top of this with vaccines, that sort of thing. And anyhow, I wanted to tell you thank you again. I don't know if people realize how much work has to be done behind the scenes for us to do this right here, what we're doing tonight, this meeting. So many people working so we can have this meeting. And thank your IT department. Thank you for all the hours that you've put in since this whole thing started.
Here.
Thank you, JP Pine, and it is a team effort. I appreciate it. And again, can't get it all. Again, public safety, public health is top priority, and that's what we got to focus on as first. However, we have been talking about doing we're hoping that in June we may be pulling a the court back into the building. But again, we need to let a few more weeks go by, because again, with the uptick in positive cases and uptick in testing, again, we got to have some comfort level with our public and our citizens. Otherwise, we'll do it as Zoom. As regard to committee meetings, I am looking at one committee meeting, which will be committee of the whole, finance and budget, if you will, with everybody's there. Because again, in the next week or so, I just don't imagine any slowdown or anything with the number of positive cases in COVID. So, and then that way, whatever the business that say jails or finance and budget accounting services, whatever that may come to that committee, that's what we're going to maybe look at for our committee meeting. But again, we'll get that out in time for public notice. I had two things I just want to make sure I got out there. We have a new grandma, I think. You can't believe that, but there's no way that could be true. Congratulations.
Hello.
Well, come on,
I was
tell
going to
us.
show you pictures.
Boy, girl, how's it doing?
Little girl. I'm trying to pull a picture up on my phone. Her name is Penelope Markham. She is absolutely, absolutely adorable. Here she is.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, look at your face. Your face is beaming bigger than the baby's. That's congratulations. But I know I got $2 grand, and we got a third coming in September. So that's awesome. Congratulations. I think we had a couple of graduations, and I tell you, this is real difficult trying to make all this, and you still have births. We had a lot of deaths that are happening. We got modified weddings. I think JP Jenkins, you did a wedding yesterday. I've done some.
I've been doing weddings like crazy.
So people have seen some silver lining, no matter what's going on, as JP Pond said, and JP, then we still got to continue to move. I do want to leave one last thing with you guys. Will you guys reach out, those of you who know Josh Medina, that work with Josh Medina? He has been recruited and hired to go and work in Denver, Colorado, to run an even larger veteran service office out there. And so with sadness, I say he will not be with us, leaving big footprints, but I tell you, the county is all the better because of what he's been able to do and connecting our veterans in the county. The county is better for it and for his work and his team that he's built. So if you guys get a chance over the next couple of weeks to reach out to him and thank him, I'd appreciate it.
Judge, I have a comment. Eki.
Debbie Eki.
Thank you. I want to just put something on our radar this is in regards to the half-cent sales tax, and it's dedicated to the road fund. It is due to sunset and expire in 2023. Right now, the budget lost annually beginning in 2024 will be $5,675,828. And I want to put that on our radar. And I know, Judge, you're working on it as chief, but for the other JPs, we need to be cognizant of what's coming up and what we have to do to ensure we get this funding. Everything.
I think Ms. Patty got a mail out to you guys with from the Arkansas Department of Transportation, a little booklet that kind of walks through all the counties and how they will be impacted by, and each city and how they will be impacted by this loss. So you guys should have got that, oh gosh, probably a month ago or two. I can't remember when Ms. Patty sent it out. Oh, Ms. Betty maybe mailed it out, but you're exactly right. We do need to be cognizant of that, and that'll be on the ballot in November.
Yes.
With that, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. The meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
There will not be an update meeting tomorrow because of our Quorum Court here tonight. So JPs, I won't be sending an update tomorrow to you. Have a good Memorial weekend. For those who'll be out there reading with at the cemetery, our veterans and honoring them. It's going to be a good way to kind of recognize and appreciate those who've served us.
Point of order. Point of order, I'm sorry. We might need to do an actual motion to adjourn and second and vote on it. Or we may just have a meeting forever.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So, motion and a second. Motion, and the county meeting is over. Meeting adjourned.
Congratulations, Suki.
Thank you.